Turn off for me, can't swim. If you can't swim, honey, I mean, the earth is 80% water.
That single 14 million view clip of baby Theo Vaughn talking about his red flags being he can't swim kicked off a wave of AI generated talking baby podcasts that we now see. And in today's video, I'll show you how to build an n8n workflow that actually can pump out custom unique videos for your channel like that one. All we'll need today is n8n, OpenAI, ElevenLabs, and Hedra. So you can spin up your own viral baby AI clips in minutes and maybe even snag some of those 8-figure view counts yourself. Today, I'll show you exactly how you can build this in n8n so you can clone the workflow for your own brand, clients, or just for fun. Overall, I think this should be pretty straightforward, at least in this process of like what steps are required to get us to the end result. We need a form that will help us grab all the information about the podcast topic, the podcast style. So like whose voice is it in? Will it be in Theo Vaughn's? Will it be in Joe Rogan's or whatnot? And then a description of the baby. Once we have all that, then we need a way to generate our script. We need a way to generate our audio. We need a way to then generate our images. And then we need a way to generate our AI baby video. And that will be done with just using OpenAI, ElevenLabs, and Hedra. And then just a simple way with a Google Drive to download it. That way we have a chance later, depending on what platform we want, to upload it to wherever we need. All right, so the first thing that we're going to need is a form submission. I have just pre-prepped this one. We have a baby podcast form. We need baby hair, straight, wavy, curly, kinky, bald. We're going to make it a required field. We have baby hair color, black, brown, blonde, auburn, rainbow, just because that's funny. We have baby cheek size, skinny cheeks, chubby cheeks, plush size cheeks. We also have podcast style. I want to make sure that all these are required just for my own purposes. Podcast style, Joe Rogan podcast style, Theo Vaughn podcast style, and Chris Williams send podcast style. 3 people that I think are great podcasters out there. So we've got Joe Rogan style podcast background, Theo Vaughn style podcast background, Chris Williamson modern wisdom podcast background for the podcast theme. And then the podcast topic, I'm going to leave just as text. So we're going to do a quick test on the workflow. Should pop up our form. We're going to pick straight hair. We're going to pick rainbow hair because that's hilarious. We're going to do plush size cheeks because that'll also be funny. Theo Vaughn style, podcast style. We'll do a Joe Rogan podcast style background. And our aliens, just our cousins. Because that feels like something that Theo Vaughn would he would say. So I'm going to lock that down. And what we need to do first is we need an OpenAI node. We're going to message a model. We're going to choose 4.1 mini. So I want to try to figure out my prompt. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to go into ChatGPT. I am creating a n8n workflow and using an OpenAI node to describe the style of our script we will generate for our baby AI workflow. I need a prompt to help me describe Joe Rogan's style of communication. Let's see what we get. Okay. Provide a style as well for it to reference. All right, you are writing a voice. You are writing in the voice and communicating the style of Joe Rogan. Style description: Joe Rogan's podcast style is casual, intense, and inquisitive. He blends deep curiosity with off-the-cuff humor, often diving into philosophical conspiratorial theories. His speech feels like a free-form thought experiment full of pauses. So we kind of get like, this is feeling good, you know. We also want some output rules that are going to be beneficial to us. We're going to respond with one JSON object. So that'll give it the command exactly 500 characters. While OpenAI is terrible at counting, it'll at least get it in the ballpark. No line breaks or extra keys. We just want to avoid any mess, and we also want to make sure that it outputs exactly the way it wants. Sometimes it can output in different ways, and that can be a little frustrating. But yeah, that overall gives us our good set of output rules to work with there. We'll also make sure to output content as JSON. All right, we need to make one update here. You are Joe Rogan. On your podcast, talking about... That's better. There's your style, the description, there's your output. Let's test this out, and we're also going to call this Joe Rogan script. All right, it says, man, think about this. Aliens as our cousins. Like, not some crazy sci-fi monster, but distant relatives on a cosmic family tree. What if they split off billions of years ago, evolved under totally different stars, yet share the same DNA roots? It's wild. Like a universal family reunion where everyone's speaking different languages but somehow smells familiar. Imagine the universe as a giant backyard barbecue. Earthlings and ET just chilling, swapping stories. Makes you wonder, right? That's pretty good, guys, as far as like a Joe Rogan style one. So we have a few other people, obviously, that we are trying to create. So we're going to duplicate this out. And we're going to also try the same thing for Theo Von. And I'm actually, since we made some updates, here is our script, our framework. Please repeat this for Theo Von's style of podcasting. And if you notice, I took the JSON. Sometimes it does these things, but we can figure that out with our output rules. We'll call this Theo Von. We'll connect this and we'll just test it out and see how it works. Man, I've been thinking of aliens. It even is just our cousins from some wild family reunion in the universe. Like, maybe out there, it's a planet where Uncle Jimmy's crazy redneck lookalike got abducted, and they've been having cosmic barbecues without us. I swear, it's like Milky Way's a backyard, and we've all just kinfolk separated by light years, but bonded the same weird vibe. Like a cousin who shows up for Christmas drunk, but knows your secrets. Okay, that's actually really good. All right, I'm gonna stay away from trying to go down the rabbit hole of everything that we might actually need, and instead I'm just gonna focus on the things that we only need. So we need some sort of switch. And in that switch, we'll have Joe Rogan, and we'll add another routing style, and we'll call that Theo Von, and then we'll test the step. Great. Output 1, which is Theo Von. So now that we have that, actually, let's rename these as well. We'll rename them. We'll call this Joe Rogan. We'll call this Theo Von. And now what's cool is that we'll have it go to each of our scripts as necessary. So we can test the workflow. And it goes straight to Theo Von. Creates our script. Excellent. So now that we have all that, we need a way to generate our baby description. So let's use another OpenAI node. We're just going to grab all these pieces of information. I need a prompt to describe our podcast, baby. These are my JSONs. So we got baby hair, straight. We don't need straight. Baby hair color. Baby cheek size. We don't need podcast style. We will use podcast theme. And we'll get rid of podcast topic. I need the prompt to describe the baby, the equipment, probably using a 50 millimeter lens on 1.4 focus, and use the podcast theme to describe the background. Let's see what we get. Generate a detailed photorealistic visual description of a podcasting baby. The baby has something cheeks, something hair and color and style, hair, and a curious expressive face. These are seated. They're seated at a modern podcast style, wearing oversized matte studio headphones that frame their tiny head in front of a Shure style microphone. Their background, it reflects Blank's vibe, stylized to match the tone and mood and theme, e.g. So we'll probably get rid of this, but maybe we'll keep that. Use subtle bokeh and rich text. It's shot on a 50 millimeter lens at a f1.4 stop. That's what I meant to write. Featuring a shallow depth of field. Okay. This is good. So we have a way to now create our prompt. We need to also connect here. This will be our baby prompt. It's got everything there. Okay. We need to do a couple of things because we do have it outputting the content as a JSON. JSON should output as prompt. That way we have everything brought together in one single prompt. Excellent. So we need a OpenAI node or a HTTP request. going to be doing a post request. We don't need any parameters here. We will have to send out our authorization. You will need an API key. For the sake of this demo, I already have an API key generated. This is going to be deleted right after. We'll also need to send our body. We're going to have to call our model. We're going to need to give it the prompt. And then we also need to give it the size. 1024 by 1536. We're going to test. All right, let's see what our issues are. Oh, for some reason my URL wasn't there. HTTPS API.OpenAI. Like I said, all this stuff is in our documentation. Couldn't do anything because it didn't have a URL to go. Oh, I know what's going on here. Bearer. All right, and looks like we've got everything. We've got this big B64. It's a batch 64 data file. It's just a bunch of code that doesn't make any sense to us. But it does make sense when we convert the file and move base 64. Yeah, move base 64 string to file. Great. We have a file here. We're going to download this really quickly. As you can tell, we've got quite a few other babies that we've generated. Let's see if this baby. That's ridiculous. That is a chubby baby with rainbow hair. That looks great. So now we have our image for the baby that we're going to actually use. All right, what we have here is our documentation for ElevenLabs. We are going to be doing a text-to-speech. Like I said, once you start digging into HTTP requests and APIs, you start seeing some of the same patterns, and there's always documentation with a website that does stuff like this. Well, not always, but there should be for the most part. So here's our curl. This makes our life significantly easier because all we have to do now is go into our HTTP request, import it, and boom, everything is ported over. The only thing we need a few things. We need to execute the previous node. Oh, yeah. It went to Theo. We'll just connect both of these right now. Execute previous nodes. What's going on here? There we go. Okay. We have our text. Our text is going to be the podcast. Should be everything. Oh, it's generating our image request, so we'll actually get a new baby image. All right, that's done recreating the image. We're going to lock this down because surprisingly, these things get expensive. Cool. So we've got our baby with the rainbow hair. That's so ridiculous. We've got this lockdown, that lockdown. All right, we're good to go. Yeah, that's pinned. Let's test this step. Okay. We need to actually authenticate it. Custom authentication. I already have this one connected, so I'm going to just and once again, I will be getting rid of my API key. You're going to use this header, and then you're going to copy your API key into here. Now we check. Oh, you know what? We'll need their authorization. So in this case, XAI API key, I will copy over my API key, which I'll be deleting later. And then we need to drag over our script. We've got ElevenLabs multilingual v2. Output form is an MP3. Let's do a little test, see what happens. All right, let's listen to this.
Man, think about aliens like they're just our cousins from another family reunion out in the cosmos, you know? Like, what if they showed up wearing their Sunday best homemade spacesuits, saying, "Hey, y'all, we heard the mashed potato."
Let's look at ElevenLabs really quickly, guys.
I have crossed oceans of time to find you.
That is deep.
I prayed and asked God for clarity.
The nuance of expression.
So I am curious about this. In here, we saw this automatically get generated. Let's view this.
Man, think about aliens
Cool.
like they're...
So we have the ability to update based on the voice that we want. I don't know if there's a way to create a random one, but you can search for the voice that makes sense for you or makes sense for the podcast that you're trying to build out. But that works there. We're going to connect these two. Everything is saved. Next, we need to create the asset. So in Hedra, we'll go to Hedra, we'll go into our APIs, and then we'll check the documentation. Hedra is confusing because you need to essentially first create the asset, but not the actual thing that's going to go up there. You need to create the list asset that it's going to be under first, the ID that it will be connected to, and then you'll upload the associated image to said asset number for both the image and the audio. So we are going to go here. So when we're in list asset, we'll look for public/asset. We're going to do post. This will be a post. We've got our URL. We're going to do our generic credentials. We're going to do custom authorization. And I already have Hedra in there. But for you, you'll have this, and then you're going to put your API key there. So now that that's done, we'll send over the body. The body is basically just going to be JSON. And we're going to have name, baby podcast audio. And then we'll have type audio. And then we'll finish it off. And yes, before we do this, I will add my quotes. All right. So we've created the name and the audio and the asset ID. Now, we need a way to grab both the asset ID later and the actual bin. So we're going to create a merge. And we're going to append it. So we've got item 1 and then item 2. And then we're going to need a code node in order to extract that information and then separate it out. I don't want to bore you with the details, but essentially I just asked Claude to write out this code node for me. And what it's doing is it's looking for the items containing the binary. It's also finding the items containing the metadata. And then it's ensuring that both the items were found. And then it's going to return each of those within their respective fields. So we'll test the step. And we pulled over the binary file, which is exactly what we wanted. And ideally, guys, we're going to do the same step here. Because we're going to send over our image. But instead, we're going to say image. And then we're going to test step here. And there we go. We now have our baby podcast image and the image ID. And we can just copy both of these because the process will be exactly the same. We'll connect it in. We'll bring this over. Now we need a way to send the actual file over to Hedra. And based on our documentation, we want to upload our assets. So we've got the URL that we need here. Let's make sure to copy it over. We're going to set this as a post because we're not getting anything. We're going to set our authorization again. That was custom Hedra. I probably should just pin stuff again so that I avoid having to double tap into it all. All right, so we have our ID. We'll go into here and we will copy over the ID into here. And then we'll just grab this JSON ID. There. Now we have our JSON ID. Okay, now we'll need to do our body. We're going to do our form data. Form data will be the n8n binary file. For us, that will just be data. Actually, for us that will be file because it's named file. And the input field will just be data. We'll test this out. And we should have uploaded everything. Operation expects the node input data to contain binary file data, but none was found. Okay, so right now I'm just going back. I'm refreshing everything in the process. Ensuring that we get the binary file, the code node doing its job, ideally. There we go. And then Hedra doing its job. Okay, cool. Yeah, sometimes you just have to kind of process everything right back from the beginning to send it over, because what will happen is that the binary file just won't send itself over. So we've got everything here. This is all correct. We're going to do the same thing here, but instead we're going to rename this post video. All right, let's see what happens. All right, excellent. We are looking good. So we have a video that's been posted. We have an image that's been posted to Hedra. We should merge it all together. Excellent. Now we just need a way to extrapolate everything. Once again, don't want to bore you with this code node, but what this does is it initializes 4 variables that we're going to need. We're going to need the image asset ID, the audio asset ID, the image URL, the audio URL, because those are the 4 variables that we're going to have to send over to generate the video. Great. We have all 4 of our stuff. So we go sort through the mess. It pulls out our stuff. And basically, once again, guys, leverage Claude and just say, like, when you're working through this process, hey, I'm going to need these 4 properties. I need you to extract these 4 properties from my merge node, and it will work through the process. And really, it's very straightforward. It's like it looks for it, assigns it null, it starts running through a loop. If it's not there, like assign the ID, if not, just null, and then return the output for everything. All right, guys, we're going to need a HTTP request again. We're going to be essentially posting our video. We're going to go to our post. We're going to generate our asset. We're going to generate our asset video here, public generation. There we go. And then we'll set our credentials. Custom auth again. Hedra. We'll create our body. Now, if you notice here, you'll see quite a bit of information. I've already built out exactly what I need here. So it's just the copy of it, the video, the model ID, the image asset, or the audio asset, just a little description, the resolution, the ratio, and the timing of it all. All right, we're going to need to go get our assets. So it's just the get assets. Now we're going to type, the type is going to be the video, and the ID is going to be the JSON asset that we have. But in our case, the asset ID right here. There we go. We'll set our authentication again. Custom, Hedra. Then we'll set our header. We'll need our X API key. Copy our X API key. We'll do our test. All right, what are we missing here? Let's try this instead. We'll just try the ID. Maybe I was wrong. Okay, I see exactly what happened here, guys. I just went into my Hedra, and what we'll need to do, and this will actually make things a lot easier, asset ID. We didn't mess anything up. Rather, it just took time to actually do it. So we should have a wait note here. And we'll have that wait note happen for like 2 minutes because it just takes time for it to process the video. And yeah, I didn't take that into account when I was thinking this through. So we have all of our information. Now for the exciting part, guys. All right, it's just going through its process. All right, it's done running. Now we need one more HTTP request, guys. We're gonna get our URL. All right, got our URL. We're gonna make sure that we need to do a response. These things are a little tricky. And then it'll be file and then data. Test the step. Excellent. We have our file. Now, this is actually going to be sending it in a binary. So the way we work around that is we're going to send it to our Google Drive and then download it from our Google Drive. We're going to upload a file. We have our drive. I have a special folder already for baby videos. This will be demo baby rainbow hair. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so it's just one of those things. Does this? It's one of those unusual little functions about sending over binary files. I'm gonna lock all this down really quickly. When I'm doing a test, sometimes it just won't register that it actually sent over the binary. So we're just gonna run through everything, not use any of our stuff. We're expecting data. We're going to get it based on there. We're outputting the field as data. Let's do this. Yeah, let's try it one more time. All right, so should have everything uploaded now. So ideally, you are going to need another wait node. This can take upwards of 5 minutes for it just to render. I don't need to do that through the power and magic of editing. We're going to download our file. We're going to grab our ID. We're going to test our step. And there we go. Let's actually just hit view.
Man, think about aliens like they're just our cousins from another family reunion out in the cosmos, you know? Like, What if they showed up wearing their Sunday best homemade spacesuits, saying,
Yeah.
"Hey y'all, we heard the mashed potatoes here are out of this world."
Oh man, there you go, guys. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. Right here, we actually have the full build itself, where you're able to break down your podcast that you actually want to be on, the style that you actually want to recreate, way deeper down the rabbit hole of actual clothing, hairstyles, skin color, you name it. This thing is able to go pump out whatever baby video that you're actually looking to make. If you guys love this build and everything that we're doing here, make sure to hit like and make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you have build ideas that you're really curious about, comment below. Let me know what it is that you're actually interested in. And if you want this template and this entire build for yourself, make sure that you guys go to my school group. It's a free group, completely available for you guys to learn how to build your own n8n workflows. See you on the other side, guys.